As we reported, there was plenty of reaction today to the first prime-time televised hearing from the January 6th Congressional Committee. The House panel used new witness testimony and video to make the case that President Trump was responsible for the Capitol riots.
We are trying to have the upper deck now.
A prime-time production, including some never-before-seen footage from the January 6th Capitol attack.
We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need court support.
As the House committee investigating the assault held its first public hearing, presenting nearly a year's worth of work to the American people. From the start, committee chair Benny Thompson of Mississippi made clear this was no spontaneous riot.
January 6th was the culmination of an attempted coup, a brazen attempt, as one rioter put it shortly after January 6th, to overthrow the government. The violence was no accident.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Directly fueling that violence, the committee said, was one man who refused to accept the 2020 election results.
Donald Trump was at the center of this conspiracy.
In clip after clip from some of the hundreds of interviews the committee conducted, those closest to Mr. Trump revealed they knew his claims of election fraud were baseless and told him so. Then Attorney General William Barr.
I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bull. You can't live in a world where the incumbent administration stays in power based on its view, unsupported by specific evidence, that there was fraud in the election.
Trump's daughter, Ivanka.
It affected my perspective. I respect Attorney General Barr. So I accepted what he was saying.
Yet Trump himself continued for months to lie about a stolen election, including at the rally preceding the Capitol assault.
You'll never take back our country with weakness.
Inspiring the crowd, the committee argued, to attempt to stop the peaceful transfer of power.
We were invited by the President of the United States!
In an edited compilation, the committee showed the rage and violence unfolding outside the Capitol, while inside, a picture of panic. In this clip, staffers fleeing the office of Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Leading last night's hearing alongside Thompson, Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming, one of two Republicans on the panel of 9, who was ousted from her party's leadership for taking part.
I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
Among the revelations from this hearing, Cheney says multiple Republicans, including Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry, contacted the White House seeking presidential pardons for their roles in attempting to overturn the 2020 election. And then President Trump's response to calls for violence from the insurrectionists.
Aware of the rioters' chance to hang Mike Pence, the president responded with this sentiment, quote, "Maybe our supporters have the right idea. Mike Pence, quote, deserves it."
The committee brought 2 witnesses to share their stories. One, U.S. Capitol Police Officer Caroline Edwards, one of more than 100 officers injured that day. Edwards was knocked unconscious in the first barrier breach on Capitol grounds. She later rejoined the line, fighting to hold off the mob, was pepper sprayed and tear gassed.
What I saw was just a war scene. It was something like I'd seen out of the movies. I couldn't believe my eyes. There were officers on the ground, they were bleeding, they were throwing up, they were, they had, I saw friends with blood all over their faces. I was slipping in people's blood.
The second witness, filmmaker Nick Quested, documenting the participation of far-right extremist group, the Proud Boys.
I was surprised at the size of the group, the anger and the profanity. And for anyone who didn't understand how violent that event was, I saw it, I documented it.
Quested spoke with Judy Woodruff earlier today.
So when we arrived at the mall, we encountered the Proud Boys already walking towards the Capitol. What we documented was them walking in a very concerted fashion towards the Capitol. And there was 200 to 300 Proud Boys, which was more than I was expecting. I was quite astounded by the amount of Proud Boys there were there.
And so this notion that, well, the attack on the Capitol just sort of was spontaneous, completely spontaneous, they just wanted to go there and it got out of hand, what would you say?
No, I would agree with the erudite plan, roadmap that the committee put forward last night, that this was not a spontaneous event. They were carrying weapons. I saw a Proud Boy with a baseball bat. You can see another Proud Boy with a flagpole that turns out to be an axe handle. They were wearing tactical gear. They had, all sorts of offensive weapons with them. So, I mean, you can draw your own conclusions, but why would someone bring a baseball bat to a political rally?
The hearings were carried in full by every major network, except for Fox, which aired only occasional clips, not including footage of the violence. Hosts dismissed the hearing as theater. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise appeared on Fox after the hearing.
I think most Americans are just sick and tired of the politicization that you're seeing by the Democrats to try to change the subject. American people are angry about what Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and their far-left socialist agenda have done to people, and they wish Congress was addressing those things, not this Hollywood production.
Even former President Trump appeared to be watching, issuing a barrage of commentary online. And today, the current president evoked how the dangers from last year's attacks are ever present.
It's important to the American people to understand what truly happened and to understand that the same forces that led January 6th remain at work today.
The committee will lay out additional findings in 5 more hearings. They argue showing coordination among the attackers, detailing the Stop the Steal effort, and how the former president pressured the Department of Justice to overturn a legitimate election. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Amna Nawaz.